Brr, it's cold out there. I'm just coming in from being outside, and I just can't believe how cold it is. I'm glad that errand is over and I can sit down and enjoy a cup of hot chocolate or coffee. Oh, this is Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller, just here telling you another story. My story is that we're going to paint that scene. All right, so here's our painting for today, and we're going to do this painting in about an hour, and we're doing it on, I'm doing it on canvas board. Of course, you could do it on stretch canvas or other items to paint on, wood, masonite, whatever you choose to paint it on. And of course, there's other ways to paint than just with acrylic, but that's what my choice of paint is today. So I try to make it easy, whatever brushes you have. I usually use the big things of paint, red, yellow, blue, black, white, and sometimes I use brown because brown's harder to mix. All right, and let's see, then today we need a little masking tape to tape off this window. That'll make that part easier. And then you might want to have either a white pen of some kind or a silver one. You can paint that with a really small paintbrush if you would like. I'll try to do it both ways so that you can see it. All right, so let's move this over. And I'm going to put down my tape. I guess I could see how big this, how long this is. It's about that long. I'm going to put it all the way over to the edge. And I do have the small masking tape. If you have the larger masking tape, you might want to cut it down proportionally. That the other is a little bit too wide. So just think about it that in your painting. If you like wide window panels, then it would be fine. Okay, and I'm just going to choose a middle spot here. And you can measure these if you want to make sure. I'm not very good at measuring. I'm more the creative one. And I just do it about like that. Just about like that. But you certainly are welcome to do that. All right. So we need to paint some background in pretty quickly and get those areas started so that we can blow dry some. So I'm going to start in with, I think the trees will paint pretty good over the snow area and the sky. So I'm going to start with that. Let's see, I've got a little mess I was painting earlier. It's got a little mess here with all my paints. I want to show you how you could come up with that turquoise. I've got some there, but let me show you what you can do. You can take a little blue. You can take a little green. Now I did go back, I ended up having to go back and get a different blue on the on my blue craft paint because it wasn't a pure enough color. The one I chose says, it says primary blue. So hopefully that helps you if you're looking for that color. So I'm going to take the blue and a little green. I'm going to just pull it over here. I've got some more green over here I forgot about. Need a little more blue, and I think I'm going to need some white in there to get it to that turquoise kind of color. A little more blue, a little more white. And I still need a little more blue. Let's just put a little more blue from here. The last time I did this on screen, I got it right off. Sometimes it just takes a little longer than others. Okay, I'm getting closer now. Can you tell that it's just starting to come around because there's that turquoise color?
I'm going to add a little white on the side here. I'm going to add a little more of the blue. Now I will tell you, this is one that was harder with that other kind of blue. I just couldn't get there until I got one that was a better color blue. Okay, so see, now I'm getting really close to that color now. Start to see that. That one has just a little more blue in it. Sometimes it takes a little practice, that's for sure. All right, now I want to have a little bit darker in the background, so I want to kind of think about where that tree line is going to be, and a little bit darker as in the sky, and this is the snow with some reflecting off of the sky. All right. And I want a fairly good sized brush. And let's see, I'm going to think about that. I want that tree line to be something about like this. I'll do it with a paintbrush and you'll see here just in a minute. Okay, I'm going to add some white in there. And I'm going to go over about to where I think the curtain is. That red should be able to paint over it pretty easily. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of water. I don't want a lot, just a little. I want to get it all colored in there. Now, I want a lot of white added on to it in the bottom part. I think I'm going to add a little more white in the top part too. I got a little bit dark on myself there. Easy thing to do. So what is your favorite activity to do when the winter is keeping you inside? I like snow days when I can just stay home and nobody wants me to do anything. The challenges of the job aren't there and I can just stay in. Because it seems like my job always had lots of demands. I'm retired now and just do part-time jobs. But there were always things to do. Of course, the most fun was childhood. And maybe mine's for a different reason than yours. Mine's because my parents were teachers. And so therefore, they didn't have any jobs to do, people to help. They were ours. They belonged to us on that day. And my mother and father always made it a lot of fun. I know sometimes my daughter especially would get jealous when she was a kid because I could not go anywhere without having someone that I had taught, running into somebody and me needing to talk to them a little bit. And she was always so jealous of that. I didn't even realize that much of it because I was so used to it because that's what I grew up with. It was just what we had to do. Just what we did. When your parents are teachers in a small town, it's just what it is. Now with me teaching in the city, in the Kansas City area, It didn't happen quite as much, but it still happened. All right. So now under here, I want a tan color. Now I think what I might do is switch to my other plate. That one's getting a little crowded. I may go back and get some of the colors from it, but it's getting a little bit crowded because I want a lot of white on there and a little bit of brown. All right. Check your brushes. If you're like me, sometimes they are not as clean as I thought they were. So always try to check your brush. Okay. I would like to use this brush, but I'll need to get some of that brown out of it, because I think it flows better than the other one I had in my hand. I think it's going to flow across there a lot better. Okay, just trying to paint in that area. Now I will use that same color with the window panes, except I'll just make it a little bit darker probably. Just a little bit darker. Okay. Now I'm going to come over to the red. Let's see, I want to mix the red with something. Let me think about that, because I don't want it to be as bold a red, because this is more like January in my mind. So I'm actually putting that turquoise in there, little green, little turquoise-ish. All right. So I'm going to start about like right here. I'm going to come down like that. I'm going to go like this. Now I'm going to get the basics in, and then I'm going to come back and trim some of it out with a smaller brush. Okay. Yes, I will need to trim some of that back out. Might need to dry it first, because I don't think it's dry enough right now. And I probably, well, I ought to dry it before I put my coffee cup in. Now, we could have put the coffee cup in before. That's certainly something you could do. Sometimes, especially if you're working with children on this painting, which I know sometimes people will do that, you might want to cut that item out and tape it on there. And then that way you can lift it off, and there'll be the spot will be there. That's certainly a way to do that too. All right, I'm going to get my blow dryer. We've got the basic colors in here. All right, I think I can pull up that tape. Kind of, you might feel around beforehand. Now it bleeds under it a bit, but that's a whole lot better than the other way. Oh, I'm painting it on your own. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go for the trees next. I probably should have done the trees before I actually took the tape up. That would have probably been a better idea, and I didn't. But I think we'll be fine. I'm adding a little red into that green. So I want it to be just a little bit darker. And I'm going to switch to a smaller brush just here in a minute. Getting some of the basic colors in. Basic painting in, should I say? Some more green. So I did the complementary color there. Okay, I'm just keep going there. Now I'm still going to find a brush that's I can do that stamped kind of thing with, but just smaller, because I want to be able to get in and around the window pane. It certainly could have gone faster if I had just done that right, like I did the first time. But I never want you to think those kind of things stop you. You just find a way. And that's one reason I'm going ahead and doing it now, is because that way I can paint it before I bring in the window pane color, and that way it'll cover up if there's just a little bit off there. Because it's a matter of you being able to get a painting done in about an hour. That's our goal. No matter what your skills, that you have fun and you learn, and just complete it. Sometimes I want to turn these around. What's your favorite hot drink? Mine these days is black coffee. I've tried to learn to like tea. I'm just not much of a tea drinker. One friend, she gave me a package of, I don't know, probably 15 different teas she had, because she and her husband really like drinking tea. And I tried my hardest. I tried it and I tried it and I tried it different ways and different times of the day, and I just couldn't do it. Now that my husband, he likes tea. He drinks hot tea in the winter, and in the summer he drinks tea and tea and tea and tea and tea and some more tea. I just don't care for it. Just not a tea drinker. But now coffee, I could drink my weight in coffee sometimes, I think. Maybe it has to do with what you grow up with. Sometimes, of course, sometimes you either like what you grew up with or you just don't like it at all. But I found pleasure in coffee because Mom and I would sit and talk. I had my first cup at 18 years old and never stopped. So I just enjoy my coffee. Since I retired from the public school job, that's one of the pleasures I allow myself, is to, any day I don't have something I have to go out for, just linger a little longer drinking coffee. Just linger a little longer drinking coffee. All right. See, I'm trying to get those to come together there. I think I'm doing all right with that. Oh, let's see, I'm going to add just a teeny bit more red in there. It's getting a little bit bright. The green is. And you can try adding black. Black just makes it a little harsher in the toning it down and making it a shade. I might want to chop that tree down a little bit. Sometimes you have to do that, even on a painting. It's come a little long down on my snow. I don't want you on my snow so much. Let's see what color I have here. So I'm just dry brushing is what I'm doing right now. Now I'm going to add a little bit of that turquoise, a little bit darker turquoise right in here. So like you're looking at the underneath the trees. Probably the next thing I need to get busy on is getting that coffee cup shape in there. Of course, maybe instead of the one I'm showing, maybe you want to have a favorite cup. That would be fun, to add a favorite cup or your favorite color. What kind of coffee cup would you add? That would be a good idea. All right, well, my favorite color is red. And I went a little bit more maroon on this drapery. So I'll probably just carry that maroon over into the coffee cup. All right, let's see. You all will be counting me saying, let's see. Just thinking about, we used to do that with the college professors when they would repeat a word over and over. We would count how many times they did that. All right, here we go. So just gonna kind of block it in a little bit. I'm gonna get a smaller brush. Okay, and I do want to leave a little bit of room here that I'm going to do some brown to make it look like hot chocolate or coffee. And of course, marshmallows. That's what my children and my grandchildren always told me. My children when they were small, and now the grandchildren remind me, you got to have lots of marshmallows in that hot chocolate. Sometimes I think they have melted marshmallow with their chocolate. Do you have anybody in your family like that? Melted marshmallows with their chocolate? Okay. And I may have to do a couple coats here to get this to a good color across the whole thing, but we'll have one coat started. Sometimes that's just a hard balance to know whether it's better to paint it on top or whether it's better to paint it, leave a spot for it before. Either way, you have to, takes you a little time on some of it. Blocking that area out sometimes is the best. So if you just cut a little piece out, like we did with the masking tape, mask off that area. All right, now I probably ought to go ahead and paint in the brown. It may not take a couple of coats, but it might. So we want to block it in, get that started. And I need to go back and do the handle, don't I? I think what I'm going to do is blow dry a little more here. I want to line, before I line my curtain, I'm going to paint my tan in. I was going to outline my curtain, but I think it might be more important to get this tan in the window so that I make those lines come together nicely. I think most of this is dry. You know, you always need to kind of check. You've probably seen me like feeling of it as I'm blow drying it. So I did outline after I did the window. I did outline it to give it a little bit more dimension there. So you could do a colored pencil, like a brown colored pencil, or maybe a regular pencil. I don't think I would go with a Sharpie this time. I think that is too intense of a color, unless you have a small brown Sharpie. I think that would be a harder thing to do. I mean, you could do it, but it's just going to show out more. Sometimes it's about being the subtlety. That's the nice thing with some of these. And most everybody has a pencil around. You might not have colored pencils, but most everybody still has lead pencils around of some kind. I think I have enough to last my whole lifetime. I try really hard to not let myself buy the mechanical pencils. I've got a pencil sharpener. I can get up and I can go sharpen it. I don't need to go spend more money. I'm trying to use up what I've got. Sometimes it's not convenient, that's for sure. But I try. Maybe that's the depression of the depression people. Parents were children in the Depression. So they saw their parents work really hard to not have to buy things, because they just didn't have money to buy things back then. Luckily, we live in easier times on a lot of that. I don't want to touch that. I needed some more water, but I just don't want to touch it and take the possibility of the bleeding to happen, the paint bleeding. Now I did draw in the wood at the bottom to make it look like a wood ledge on the window. I did draw the wood grain. If you aren't familiar with how that looks, you might bring you a picture up from the web, from the internet, and just look at some wood grain and get an idea. Sometimes those ideas help. So glad we have that kind of technology that we can do that. When I used to teach early on, when I taught, the kids were always wanting to know what this looked like or that looked like. Well, there's no computer in this room. So it was a number of years. So I was glad when I got a screen and could bring up things. I'd put together PowerPoints that have resource pictures that we might want to use. All right, now I'm going to start with I'm going to use a pencil this time. So a leaded pencil, I think it's probably a number 2. And then I'm just going to draw that off so that I'll be able to see my line. Even after I paint, I should be able to see some of it. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to do the marshmallows. I'm just going to take this, just do it like that. 3 works nice. All right. Now I'm going to go back. I want to smooth that color down on my coffee cup. It's a little blotchy in my opinion. Let's see if I can add a little more paint on the top layer. On the top layer of it and get it to just smooth down a little. All right. I'm going to have this painting setting out at my house this winter. Doing one of my favorite things. Drinking some hot chocolate. Along with that coffee, I'll have some coffee too. And just looking outside and watching the winter go by. I hope sometimes you can have a time like that. I know some people have to work, and we appreciate those who have to work during those times. But maybe you have some times that you don't have to. Or maybe it's a weekend. What was there one time a few years ago that there was a snow 6 weeks in a row? 6 weekends in a row in Kansas City when I know my father, he was actually visiting our family in Texas, and we were trying to get to the airport to get him, and we had to do it between snowstorms that year. So we did have to get out then, but it was, some weekends you can just take a little breeze, not have to get out. We all need those kind of times in our life. All right, now I'm going to work on edging my curtain a little better. I think I'm going to turn it upside down. Sometimes I work better from one end and sometimes from the other end. We'll add enough water to make it smooth, but not so much that it starts bleeding or running across, which is a very delicate balance sometimes. Just trying to smooth it as nicely as I can there. What's your favorite season? I'd say they each have their own good and bad. For me, I probably like fall the best, but they both have, all four seasons have their good things, and all four seasons have their hard things. And we just try to, live through each one the best we can. Now, I think I was talking about my maroon, almost maroon kind of curtain. I think I might have just turned it back into more of a red one. I didn't catch the paint I had mixed earlier. Let's see if we can change that back here. Probably should smooth my curtain out first and then go back and pick up some of that other color. Okay, snag a little of that paint. Paint, 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 paint. I sure do like to paint, and I like you coming along with me to paint with me. Makes it a lot more fun to know you are watching and enjoying painting. And I hope you just keep trying if it's hard. If you can paint better than me, hey, I'm so excited for you. Go for it. I'm glad. I'm glad you can. Because my skills are about teaching painting more than anything else. I want it where others can be able to follow and paint. I try really hard to not make mine super, super good because I want others to look at mine and go, oh, well, I can do that. I want them to feel success. It's about helping others feel success. All right. Let's see if I can turn this around. Okay, I'm going to take my pencil. I think the table is where I need to start. I was trying to find a place that it is all right to start on this. Now, what I usually do is do a kind of a long, kind of rectangle-y curved area, and then I just go back around it to make it kind of look like the wood grain. So it kind of has, I think I've heard them term it kind of like an eye there. It doesn't really look like an eye, but it just has a center section. And then you just kind of follow suit with whatever that shape is. Now it will shade out more, like if you rub it, if you're using a pencil, a graphite pencil, that'll have more of a, you could rub it and it would shade a bit than with the color. However, the colored pencils will still do some of that. And you could try, if you've got really good painting skills, you could draw take a really small brush and add some of this in, or you could just leave it off if you wanted. You could just have the table whatever color you chose for that table to be. Or if we want to say a table, or if we want to say the, you know, a big opening there, ledge by the window. I could see it being either. Okay. Like I said, this can rub and kind of blend, or you could just leave it like it is. All right, now I do want to kind of outline these windows. Let me see how much, what is wet and what isn't wet. And sometimes on some of it I've added more of my marshmallows. However, I think these that I did today, I think they'll be all right, just like they are. Now, so you might want to leave this part until it's totally dry, if you have that option, because you can see there's a little bit where the paint is thicker, that the pencil's catching that. Okay. I'm going to use my blow dryer again. So I want to put a little bit of a cord there on the curtain. The one last time I did a little bit darker. I have to go fairly dark though to go over my maroon color. But that's still probably the best option here. Now it could be if you have a little piece of gold silver cord, that might be a fun thing just to add, you know, hot glue on there. I guess you wouldn't even have to hot glue it. You could just put some glue on there. That might be a fun adaptation. All right, now on mine, I did little snowflakes. See if I can find some white. You can use, something like these. Those work really, really nicely. You can just get you a really small paintbrush. And if you don't want to do the snowflakes because you're a little worried about being able to get them right with the small brush and you don't have the other items available, you could just put the dots. Or, let's see, I think I had another idea, and that's a toothpick. Most people have a toothpick. Let's see if I can draw one with a toothpick. Because like I say, I don't want you to think that you can't do it because you don't have something. It does take a little more effort with the toothpick. Okay, I'm going to try one with my paintbrush. The thing about the paintbrush is that you want the paint just right. You don't want it too moist. You don't want it too dry because then it won't flow very good. You want it just right. And sometimes that takes just a little finessing of learning. Oh, see, I think I got too much on there. Okay, I'm going to put a little more water. Do it on my hand. I don't know, there's something about that spot right there that's working real good for me right now, so I'm just going to go with it. My hands will wash. Of course, it's not the first time they've had paint on them, and I'm sure it won't be the last. I will tell you the easiest way is with that little white pen. That's the easiest way. Okay, we're going to do some more dots around. Takes lots of concentration on these snowflakes. So you might want to let your painting sit and then come back to it if you're having trouble with the snowflakes. However, I like to just get it done. I'm just about getting it done because sometimes then I don't want to come back to it. So I've got a whole stack of paintings waiting for me to come back to them. When I'm in the thinking phase of trying to come up with new ideas, sometimes it takes me a bit. When I'm repainting a painting or following someone else who's doing a painting, it's not quite as hard. But that's that trial and error that sometimes gets me. Okay. All right, now I think the only thing that I don't have is the little snowflakes that I had around. Something special when there's still just a few flakes flying. Of course, that first snow of the season is always a fun one. I used to let my kids at school, whatever class of the first graders and kindergartners, we'd get black construction paper and we'd run outside and we'd try to catch those snowflakes. So much fun. Then I've been doing those kind of things with the granddaughters. Now I don't know what's going to happen when the granddaughters get too old. I guess I'll have to find me some more kids I can do those kind of things with. I had the hardest time though at school because I would do like this when I was trying to test out something. And then of course the kids wanted to, and I had to kind of explain to them there is a difference to me doing this and you doing this. Two different things. Well, I hope during this winter season that you are able to find a little time just to sit and reflect and drink your favorite drink and look at your painting. All right, this is Sarah Poff, the Painted Multimedia Storyteller. You have a great day now. That's a wrap.